Well, we finally have our official answer. After days of waffling and inconsistency, a clearly traumatized Donald Trump dropped a new rant on Truth Social in which he officially declared that he will not debate Vice President Kamala Harris for a second time after the brutal humiliation he suffered at her hands, no doubt frustrating the many MAGA Republicans who have publicly begged him for a rematch. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have a couple of clips to look at in this video. And before we get to the big rant on Truth Social that Donald Trump even pinned at the top of his profile, it's that official. I want to play a short clip, a very short clip of Bill O'Reilly, who is a Trump sympathetic conservative Republican. He's rooting for Trump in the upcoming election. He appeared on Piers Morgan earlier today, and on the subject of a rematch between Vice President Harris and Donald Trump, this is what the Trump sympathetic Bill O'Reilly had to say.
So if I were Harris, I wouldn't do a second debate, but Trump needs one.
Let me ask, it was a moment.
So there you go. He says the vice president should avoid a rematch with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, on the other hand, needs a rematch. Well, Donald Trump apparently begs to differ. So he says, when a prize fighter loses a fight, the first words out of his mouth are, "I want a rematch. Polls clearly show that I won the debate against Comrade Kamala Harris, the Democrats' radical left candidate, on Tuesday night, and she immediately called for a second debate. She and Crooked Joe have destroyed our country with millions of criminals and mentally deranged people pouring into the USA, totally unchecked and unvetted, and with inflation bankrupting our middle class. Everyone knows this, and all of the other problems caused by Kamala and Joe. It was discussed in great detail during the first debate with Joe and the second debate with Comrade Harris. She was a no-show at the Fox debate and refused to do NBC and CBS. Kamala should focus on what she should have done during the last almost 4-year period. There will be no third debate." And he pinned it on his Truth Social profile, pinned right here. So, unless the wildly dishonest and inconsistent Donald Trump changes his mind yet again, which I suppose is possible, we finally have our official answer. Donald Trump is so traumatized by the utter brutal humiliation he suffered at the vice president's hands that he doesn't want that smoke a second time. But it's not just Bill O'Reilly asking Trump for a rematch. News Nation published an article talking about how many top Trump allies are begging him for a rematch to try to clean up the terrible defeat he suffered. Allies of former President Trump are urging him to accept a second debate with Vice President Harris after she turned in a strong performance Tuesday night, effectively putting the ball in Trump's court for a second meeting. Harris's team wasted no time in calling for another debate, while Trump refused to commit. Some Senate Republicans believe that Trump could use another bite at the apple. Quote, "I think it would be an opportunity," said Rick Scott of Florida, one of his top surrogates. Quote, "If I was in Trump's position, I would." Trump and the GOP have struggled to define Harris since she ascended to the top of the Democratic ticket, and many Republicans think the president missed a key chance Tuesday. Instead of focusing on policy differences, they say, he took the bait placed by Harris and committed self-inflicted wounds by going down unnecessary rabbit holes. That included a much-derided reference to an online conspiracy theory that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating pets. Quote, "I believe we missed a lot of opportunities last night," said Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina, agreeing that a second debate could be beneficial. Quote, "It makes a lot more sense to, instead of talking about cats or dogs, talk about 1 million gotaways," he said, referring to immigrants who have evaded Border Patrol. Quote, "That's a lot more frightening to me, and it's a real threat." Trump apparently disagrees. You know who doesn't disagree, though, or doesn't disagree with the Republicans wanting a rematch? The vice president herself. As a matter of fact, at the time of recording, she just spoke at a rally earlier today teeing up a rematch. Apparently, she hadn't got the news that just a few minutes before she went on stage, Trump put a kibosh to the whole thing out of fear. But this is what the vice president had to say about her first debate with Donald Trump and the prospect of another rematch against him.
2 nights ago, Donald Trump and I had our first debate. And I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate. Because this election and what is at stake could not be more important. On Tuesday night, I talked about issues that I know matter to families across America, like bringing down the cost of living, investing in America's small businesses, protecting reproductive freedom, and keeping our nation safe and secure. But that's not what we heard from Donald Trump. Instead, it was the same old show. That same tired playbook that we've heard for years, with no plans for how he would address the needs of the American people, because it's all about him, it's not about you. Well, folks,
absolutely true. The vice president made a pretty compelling case here, and you could tell from the crowd was fired up. That was an explosive response. The crowd absolutely wants to see a rematch between her and Trump. And listen, I think that that anybody going up against any Republican in this divided country with the election this close should be cautious. I wouldn't want the vice president or any Democrat to be overconfident, but I think it says something that she wants it, the crowd wants it, Democrats want it. And this was the statement that they released minutes after the first debate. This is from the campaign chair, Jen O'Malley. This was, again, Tuesday night after the debate. Tonight, Vice President Harris commanded the stage on every single issue that matters to the American people. Americans saw exactly what kind of president Kamala Harris will be, one who offers a new way forward for the country, who will be a president for all Americans, and who will turn the page once and for all on the darkness and division of Donald Trump. And she reminded the American people that she is the only candidate in this race ready to serve as our commander-in-chief. Donald Trump was totally incoherent. He was angry and rattled, and it all began when Vice President Harris held him accountable for his record in overturning Roe v. Wade and harming women nationwide. Trump refused to say he would veto a national abortion ban. He again said he had no regrets over January 6th. And in case you missed it, through countless lies he rattled off on stage tonight, Trump offered zero plan for the everyday needs of Americans, saying he only had concepts of a plan. That's because the only actual plan Trump has is Project 2025, which would raise costs for the middle class and take America backwards. Under the bright lights, the American people got to see the choice they will face this fall at the ballot box between moving forward with Kamala Harris or going backward with Trump. That's what they saw tonight and what they should see at a second debate in October. Vice President Harris is ready for a second debate. Is Donald Trump? Well, Trump is obviously not. And what's interesting is I'm just going to play this clip for you. I played it in a video, I believe, yesterday. But the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump really wasn't even open to a debate on Fox News, right? He had proposed it previously. And Fox News even offered, say, hey, listen, we'll have one on Fox, and Martha McCallum and Brett Baer, two conservative journalists in Fox News' employ, they'll moderate. This is what Donald Trump had to say about that just yesterday.
Mr. President, I know when we started the interview, you said that you felt that you won the debate last night, your best ever. I think before the debate happened last night, the Kamala Harris people said that they would actually like to do another debate in October. And I know that last night Fox News sent letters to your campaign and her campaign offering 3 dates of debates moderated by Martha and Brett. One is October 9th in Arizona.
Well, I wouldn't want to have Martha and Brett. I'd love to have somebody else other than Martha and Brett. I'd love to have, frankly, Sean or Jesse or Laura, somebody else. Let's give other people a shot. But I didn't think Martha and Brett were good last night. I thought Jesse was fantastic last night, what he said. Jesse really got it. Jesse said Trump won that debate. We won that debate by a lot. No, I wouldn't want Martha involved.
Okay, Mr.
So that's how sensitive Donald Trump is. That is how frightened Donald Trump is. That's how intimidated Donald Trump is. The fact of the matter is he's uncomfortable debating on Fox News, which had to pay nearly $800 million in a defamation settlement because they signal boosted knowingly Donald Trump's lies about the 2020 election. That's how in the bag they are for Trump. That much that they had to cut an $800 million check, which was ultimately the price they had to pay for loyalty to him. And he says the only way he would even think about it is if Jesse Waters, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham were moderating the debate. And then it turns out he won't even consider it under those circumstances. There will be no third debate. that is the definitive proof that Donald Trump lost the debate, as if anybody needed any more. And since Donald Trump is a thin-skinned, malignant narcissist and pathological liar, I think you and I and everybody else should take every opportunity to relentlessly mock and belittle and condescend him in front of his cultists, because it's a lot of fun and he deserves it. There you have it. Unless he changes his mind, Donald Trump has officially said he is too scared to debate Vice President Harris for a second time. In the meantime, you let me know what you think in the comments.